waited long enough. The show must go on. We don't have to have a quorum. Huh?
Is either any of the chiefs coming?
I don't see fire chief here, but don't you the wrong room?
I told them to come Tuesday.
Oh, did you? Okay.
We could get them in here.
No, that's,
pretty easy. My thing is, they kind of gave you your pitch. If you need more explanation, then that's fine, but, and we can get them in here pretty easy.
No, not if we're doing it Tuesday.
We're gonna do it Tuesday, and that's gonna be the one I hope we can knock it to the house, but if we can't, we can't. We're kind of at a place where, hey, we're at a place where, we're at a place where I'm trying to push this forward. So whether or not we make our deadline of Tuesday and getting it kind of sealed away and ready to present to the public or not, we can always go to September. But I'd really like to push and try to get August, but if we can't, we can't. But I would like to do that. So that's my little personal goal, Mark, I've got set. Y'all have had time to review. This is our 5th draft. You may not have got all of them because it evolves. Every time we meet, we update stuff. And then when we get a pretty good significant update, we modify things. And from the last few meetings, we kind of had a little more guidance from y'all on what you did. What kind of was a no-brainer and what we wanted to do. So this draft is pretty... Still has $800,000 in the wish list items that are being requested that we need to go over. I wanted to update you on the cover sheet letter. This shows you everything.
Okay.
We now have more money available because now you just have to understand, even after the budget's passed, it's constantly evolving. Even throughout the budget year, it evolves because we go over and under and over and under. But through a few meetings with Tyler, we had all the airport hangar money budgeted to come out in the next year, and it's also budgeted in this year. We were afraid to not budget it next year, but Tyler's assured us the airport hangars will be completed in this budget year. So we were able to take that out, which freed up money in the budget.
Okay.
So that gave us more playroom right now. At this moment, with nothing in the wish list in this general overview, nothing in the wish list is in here. At the moment, we have nearly $400,000 to do something with or to not do something with. But that's how much to the good we are at the moment. Okay. So I thought that was good, but we could go through the, let me ask you this. Are there things in here that you want to go through? Or are we okay with it at the moment? Then if so, we'll pivot. Are there any specifics in here that you want to discuss?
Well, we discussed draft 3.
Yes.
And we were going to make some changes, so now
Right.
I just got draft
That's right.
5.
That's
so
right.
I haven't been able to go through all of those documents.
Well,
so
yeah, you just got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but just looking at this $394,000, you know, one of my thoughts is, you know, we talked in our workshop about these 2 parking lots. And then possibly widening Wreck Drive.
Yeah.
You know, but we don't have any good numbers
Right.
for out here.
It's less than 100,000 to do both parking lots. I think it came in. I got quotes.
So we could move the money from here.
Good.
Instead of
bringing it out of our street.
$1.5 million.
That's right. Good.
I would rather do that personally. I don't know how the rest of the council feels, you know, but.
So just the parking lot part, not necessarily widening Wreck Drive,
Yeah,
because widening Wreck Drive could be mighty expensive.
Well, that's what, I'm figuring it's gonna be expensive, but, I think we at least take the revenue from here and try to utilize it there instead of messing with our street money.
Okay.
If, you know, the council's good with that.
All right.
And then, you know, if, I don't know, if possible, if Tyler could give us a rough idea what it might entail cost-wise to widen Rick Drive. I don't know that we'll
Well, I think
have
there's
the money,
some,
but
I think,
I think it's definitely an issue we need to look at while we're enhancing down there.
okay, all right. All right. I've got a note of that.
But I just, Mayor, I just need to delve through all these
Well, sure.
to see if there's any questions, you know, I think.
I can tell you the changes from draft 4 to draft 5. Which one did you have last?
3.
Okay.
Me and Mulaney spent a while
We
on
did.
draft 3.
They were taking a few, for the most part, generally minor things from here and putting in here, okay? For example, it seemed like the full council was interested in moving, or in approving Ashley's request, or I say Ashley's, to do the minutes and update the voting system and all of that. So that got moved in.
Yeah.
And then the animal shelter, like the freezer, refrigerator, food
upped
stuff
that
there, we
money.
put that in the budget, okay? So those were the main things. And then we still have $50,000 worth of maintenance agreements that have to be put somewhere. And I have those with me.
Has that not been put in draft 5?
If it was put into draft 5, it would be in the step money.
So that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So she moved that.
It's moved at the moment, but we need to, on Tuesday, we need to make it clear to the chief that that's what we've done.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I thought, and that's what I thought that.
It looked, here's what I directed Mulaney to do with from the wish list to the budget from where we left off. On Department 12, the training, I thought we felt good about the training, so we moved it.
Right.
From Department 13, which is, I don't have 4 in front of me. Let's see, Department 17, Department 21, the mower. Let's see, which one's Department 21? Doug King.
So, yeah. That's the beautification.
There wasn't a whole lot of adjustments. The biggest adjustment, and the reason we were, oh, hey, buddy. Oh, let me unmute it here. Hey, buddy. Oh, dear. Let me, maybe
He's
start.
muted.
Are you muted, buddy?
Yeah, see down there it says Carlton is muted.
Carlton's muted. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good. How's your vacation?
It's okay, I guess.
Okay. Well, good. I hope you enjoy your time. I just need 2 hours of your time.
I don't know about 2 hours, but I mean, I'll give you what I got.
All right, we'd already kind of started because we were running behind, and the only thing that's really been explained pretty thoroughly is, and we emailed you the documents. I don't know if you got them or have them.
Yeah.
Okay, good. On the cover sheet, we keep reworking the budget. At the moment, we have $394,000 to the good.
Okay.
All right, and we were able to free up money, and then we still retain 20% of the hangar money in the budget, in this number, which equated to about $124,000. And we did that.
Okay.
We did that because we feel like the hangars are going to be finished in the current budget year, so it freed up a bunch of money to help us make sure we're on the right track. But we also retained 124 in the new budget in case we weren't quite finished.
Okay.
So right now we have $394,000 above what we need, and we have $800,000 worth of wish list. Now, in that wish list, money in Department 13, no, Department 12. Of that 800,000, nearly $500,000 is from the fire department. But we're not, but because it has two different figures on it.
Okay.
He ran a scenario for 3 new full-time firefighters and a scenario for 4 part-time employees. So you take that part out, that's nearly $500,000 right there. That's over 400,000. So really, in a way, if you ignore those two things, the whole wish list is 400,000, and we have about 400,000. So, but that doesn't mean I'm saying we do it all by any means. I'm just telling you we're real close to having a pretty good budget. So
what's all on his wish list?
well, I can tell you what's left. If y'all want to start oddly at number 12, we can. He's got a rescue truck, which would add a lease item line for $15,000. New overall line expense would be, because we have all those other lease things in there. It would add $15,000 to the lease line. That one is something personally I think we should. If we do anything, we ought to do that. Look, I'll tell you ahead of time, the 3 new full-time firefighters and the 4 part-time employees, I don't even think we ought to waste our time on that. That's not it. I don't see that in the cards, but we can discuss that with the chief on Tuesday. But I think he put that on there so we would have an idea in the future what it would cost.
What he's coming with later on, yeah.
Yeah, long-term planning. But this rescue truck, I've been putting him off ever since he's been the fire chief on doing this. He wanted to do it the last 2 years, and I keep telling him no because we had to buy air packs, we had to buy a generator, we had to buy several different things. So this year, if y'all want to do that, then whatever. I mean, we're going to have to do it eventually. The rescue truck they have is a 3/4 ton, but it's a lease, and it's they want to outfit it in a certain way and replace that old truck they have. But they don't want to spend the money on.
Speaking about that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. If you guys are.
I'm fine with it. I don't know about Mr. Charlie and Mr. Roy, but they don't want to outfit the lease truck that's about time to turn in, and you don't want to spend the money outfit the truck that's ready. So they want to purchase this, but they want to purchase. They want to do it through like government capital, that Marty. They want to lease it through there. So the annual lease price would be $15,000 a year. The good part is after 5 years they'd still own it. And gosh, it's hard to rack up significant miles on that truck. So it should last us a long time. I think the rescue truck we have now is very old.
Yeah.
So personally, I think that's a good expense. And then they have, and I'm speaking loud because I don't know if you can hear me. If you can, I'll speak more regular, buddy.
No. You're doing perfect.
Okay.
It's not noisy.
Okay. They have building repairs of $30,000 on here. They have some sort of mold issue growing at Central Fire Station, and there's a liability to having mold in a public place, and he feels like we need to tackle it. Apparently, it's pretty serious. It's grown from the kitchen, a leak over the years, potentially like the dishwasher or something leaked slowly over the years, and it grew mold in places you can't see. And then when they finally realized it was all the way in another room, like a bathroom. It had grown through the kitchen, through a closet into the bathroom or something. So, and I don't think the 30,000 is. I don't know if it's accurate as much as it is a guess, but those two things seem more like a. The rescue truck, if y'all wanted to cut it, we could, but the repairs is just kind of part of doing business, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if it's mold, I wouldn't want to be in there every week. It's mold in there, so I'm fine with that as well. Everybody else,
I'm okay with both of them, if y'all are.
I'm fine with both of them as well.
All right, and then I say, thank you, Chief, for the information on the right, but we're not ready to take action on any of that yet. In my opinion, unless y'all.
No, I agree with you, Mayor. I mean, that's not just a 1 year or a 5 year deal.
That's it.
That's from here on
That's
out, and
it.
that's a whole lot of money. And as each year goes, it could potentially get more expensive.
Let's go to 08. I agree. I mean, that's the way we need to look at this. It's one thing to bite a bullet on the one-time expense while things are good. I mean, our revenues are up, things are solid right now, but we don't want to obligate ourselves to something we can never get out of.
Yeah.
All right, on 08, look, I just left that in. I personally.
Which sign is this for?
You will go get that picture off my bookcase real fast. Would you mind?
Oh.
Okay. It's something. So I had mentioned to a few people if we got out of the power contract, we are looking to get the Minden power light and power sign redone, the neon sign back on there and lit up.
Okay.
A lot of people over the years have mentioned their pride. But look, I left it on here, and here's what I'd like to do. I think there's probably some grants or something available, or you never know when we might come across some just really fluff money for some. I don't feel comfortable personally spending money on it. I kind of mentioned it to Buddy. I mean, and I don't know. I put it on here, just something to consider. If y'all really wanted to do it, I'm okay with it. I just kind of feel funny about it. But it's a huge sign, and it was neon.
Yeah, I remember that sign. Okay, that's what I thought you were talking about. Okay.
It was just something that I feel like some people showed the public. I think it was something that a lot of the people from years ago took pride in seeing that sign lit up. I mean, I think it's a valid deal, but.
I think if we go through the wish list
And there's
and we
money there.
trim and do what we think we need to do, and if that money's there, you know, appropriate it, but then if we can get some grant money to do it, is even better.
Okay,
I mean,
so-
that's my thought, but.
Buddy, do you need us to show you the sign, or you know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm very familiar with it.
Okay. It's just.
We had a conversation previously about that, so, you know.
Right. I got Tracy Campbell to look in, because he knows a neon guy and a sign guy, and I had him, he was gracious enough to run some kind of rough figures, and he figures 12,000 would get that sign redone, which shocked me, but then I realized the sign is 26 foot wide. Like, you don't think it is at all, but it's nearly as wide as that building. And so I had them measure it and everything, so it's huge. But it's just something to consider. Like you said, I think we could, I feel like we could find some grant money for such a thing. Beautifications, grant, maybe from Nungesser or something like that. That might be a neat project. All right. That's all we had left on 8. I mean, we just didn't need anything. On Department 10, that's the police department. I mean, we might as well jump in here. This is the thing. The only thing on their whole wish list is a $1 an hour pay increase. I will say, and I think you'll understand why. I increased by 10,000, wasn't it, Mulaney? The legal line item and the liability line item for that department. Just looking in my crystal ball, I think we probably ought to do that. And so, and I don't know that that's a good number or not. I think.
Oh yeah, honestly, I'm thinking maybe even a little more.
Yeah, I know.
A little bit more, to be honest.
Well, but one part of the equation, it takes years sometimes for things to materialize. So I don't know. All I know to do is go off history at this point. So, and then in Department 10, before we get to the request here, there's also $50,000 worth of maintenance agreements that have to be coded somewhere.
is this something new that he wanted to do, or?
Well, I can show you, these are the maintenance agreements. Like this one here, I signed it, it's $3,000 invoice. This was for a year, but I made sure that Ashley noted full amount from PD step. Like that's what we agreed on. I wanted that on there so I wouldn't forget. And then this contract was signed in October. This contract was signed in October. This contract was signed in August of '23. I don't think I'm pretty clear that I didn't know about it. So my point is, I feel like.
So let me ask a question, Mayor. I'm
Yes.
not trying to interrupt you.
No,
So
it's fine.
these contracts are things that the chief obligated the city to, and we really didn't have a sit-down discussion on spending this kind of money.
I mean, from a very factual standpoint.
The way I understood it, those are the tasers and body cameras.
Okay.
They were upgraded and additional added to it. Price increase.
Well, and in my opinion, not just the police department, but any department, I don't think has the right to go and obligate us to doing something without sitting down with the group and figuring out where the money's going to come from, et cetera. So, you know, I think the money needs to come out of their step fund if they want to continue that, in my opinion.
Well, the reason
and I don't
I
have
bring it up is because if there is a debate about it, you need to know that there's this $50,000 that is gonna have to be sorted out Tuesday with the chief. So keep that in mind when you're looking at their request, because you see what I'm saying? This is almost an unfunded liability at the moment. Like, who's the daddy of this baby here?
Yeah.
And we gotta figure that out. So consider that, if it goes in the police general fund, or if it comes out of their fund, you know, that should be considered in this too. So anyway.
Yeah, I guess I'm not comfortable without having, you know, a conversation with the chief and understanding, because I think his department needs some financial assistance. You know what I'm saying? He tends to spend when you need to rein it in.
Well,
And then, you know, with his next request, you know, you could actually look at hiring new police officers, cutting his overtime back, which, I mean, it's better than it was, but, you know, we've got to rein the spending in to a certain degree, in my opinion.
As far as the stuff that we oversee, like, we don't totally do we set the budget we don't set the budget on the step. So outside of that, they've done a better job. It's this, it's that area that always is great. They've done a better job. I will give them that credit. But I do appreciate what you said.
I don't disagree with you on that.
I do think they've done a much better job. This is something they may be totally prepared to pay for out of step. Yeah. Not trying to put you on the spot, but like like I said earlier, we got this baby and we don't know who's gonna pay for it. Like, they wanted them in their budget. Okay, that's how we got here. I figured that. So the way we got here is they want these, they've been paying them out of step?
Yes, and then when we took control.
You gotta speak loud, buddy.
When we took control of the checkbook,
Okay.
they wanted to at budget time. Hopefully you just rolled them into budget.
So this is almost a wish list request.
Yeah.
It's just not on the list. Buddy, do you understand what's going on? You're muted. All right, I'll read your lips. Buddy says he does. You know you're muted, right? Okay. All right. Well, do you have any thoughts on this? We can't hear you, buddy. You're muted.
There we go. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, no. I completely understand what Michael is saying, and I get that. But you know, I mean, I don't have much input on that. Is that okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
hear you. I didn't like what you said.
So, buddy,
I know you did.
you want us to absorb the $50,000 that they're asking us?
He didn't
Instead of-
necessarily say that.
No, I'm asking a question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel the line item should go? I mean, do they pay it out of the step, or do we absorb it in the city, in their department?
They need to pay that out. They need to pay it out of step.
Okay.
All
I
right.
think.
Well,
I mean, because the thing is, you know, they expect for us to pay for their needs, but then at the same time, when they collect all this money with step, then they're looking for, you know, and I'm just being honest. And I'm not saying that we should do that with everything, but in this case, I mean, it kind of works for me that way.
well, that's
but
how
I'm-
we have it coded.
I'm sorry?
I shouldn't have interrupted you, but that's how we have it coded is out of step. We just gotta tell the
Yes.
Tuesday.
He doesn't know.
Well, I'm,
Not yet, but he will.
Mr. Charlie, they've been paying it, right, out of step?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so right now, if they pay that bill, it comes from their step account.
Yes.
Okay, but what they're asking is to take that 50,000 and move it to basically their general operating funds.
They can do something else,
Yeah,
and they would like for us to.
Eat it.
eat it, yeah. But we had no input as a group
Yeah.
in these maintenance agreements and things like
It should
that.
have been something that we agreed on before.
That's my
Yeah,
thought,
yeah.
Mr. Charlie. I mean, I just don't think we need to let any department do that, because that gets us into
I would like to note, and it's a little, in the police department, it's a little unclear. It's not exactly clear because there's still there's a lot of movement there, and Melanie can explain more, but, one of the good rules of thumb, if a department only goes up, we kind of established this last year, if a department as a whole goes up 2 to 3%, that's pretty much expected with your cost of living increase, right? This one's at 7.62. And then if we added the 50, it would be probably closer to 8. If we add this other request, it's gonna go up to probably 9 or 10. That's a lot. So the problem with it is, on that other request that they have, it's a forever thing, right? Like you were saying about something else earlier, it's a forever request, and the problem with public safety in this particular deal is like, every year if we up it 7, 8, 9%, it's not sustainable. And it worries me to death, and we're having really good days right now. Sales tax is up, and the interest rates are up, so our money makes money, but it wasn't long ago that wasn't the case. And we can find ourselves back there really fast, and so we don't want to have obligations that we can't get out of for eternity. That worries me. I mean,
I agree, and I think you and I are saying the same thing.
so, I don't know, just because times are good doesn't mean we need to go ahead and I think the city's moving in the right direction, and I think prosperous days should be ahead, but we also have to account for some rainy days, and they come. So, buddy?
I agree with you on that.
So if we put the step back down to 150, we're already over the 150 this year, but it washes.
That's the thing, it makes it, that's, the step line drives their number up. And it's not exactly accurate. So
Right.
what would their line be in accordance to last year, an increase over last year?
If we put it back to 150, it'd be at 5.32%.
But that's without the wish list request. If we, so it went, you got it to 150 now? What was it?
250.
So 100,000 changes it 2%. So if we added another 150, that would change it 3% up. That would put us at 10. That's tough, man.
I
It's
just don't.
And then what I was gonna bring to y'all is, I'm just being honest, that's all I know to do. I don't see how we can give the police $1 an hour raise and not give the fire $1 an hour raise, which would raise that department a dollar. And I mean, how could you? I mean, you
I don't
could,
disagree.
but-
I think if we're gonna do one department, we do the other. I mean, that's why, before you guys came on, I fought so hard to get them the raise that they got,
Mhm.
and we tried to do it equally across the board between both departments, And I think, things are much better than we were, but I don't think we're to the point where we can just start spending money frequently
I had Mulaney run the numbers, it cost $90,000 to give the same raise to the fire department. So that's 90 and 135, so that's 225.
But you guys sustain that
Forever.
forever, and not saying those departments are not working. It's
No.
just, how do you really fund that? Because next year, this excess may not be there,
That's what I'm saying.
so, I mean,
To
I'm
our-
just not comfortable yet in doing that line, that.
To our credit, we've increased public safety every single year.
And, I mean, just like in some of in their department, I mean, just one account's over 150%,
Which one is that?
I mean,
Is it uniforms?
That's the jail expense,
Well, now,
And-
that's a murder situation. That's a deal. That's not their fault.
And I'm not saying that that's
Yeah.
their fault. I'm just simply saying, see how easily they could go over
Yeah, that's a,
with things out of their control.
right.
You see what I'm saying? I
Well,
mean,
that one is not a good example, but yes.
I mean, I'm just saying, that's
You pick
21
one.
grand.
No
I mean,
doubt.
that's roughly almost 50% of what they're asking us to move.
Right.
So, I mean, they're almost at their threshold in overtime, and we still got, 3 months left?
So I will like to say that in Department 10, they had a $25,000 lease increase for their lease vehicles. Now listen, they wanted, I dug into the actual request, and they wanted to turn in 8 old lease vehicles for newer ones, which was where the 25,000 came from. I called Enterprise on Tuesday, Mulaney and I did, and he said we would do well to not do that we would do well to turn in 3. And so there are 3 that it's time to turn them in and get the money out of them, or we're gonna lose. And so it was 2, I've got a list, but it's 1 F-150, that's a 2020, and 2 of the Ford Explorer. No, it's 2 F-150s and 1 Ford Explorer that's a 2020. It's time to turn them in. I don't disagree with that. So we increased that line item $10,000, which will cover that cost. The problem is, in 2020, you can buy cars cheap. You can lease them cheap. Then we hit COVID, Michael, better than anybody. We hit COVID, it went through the roof, and so now to replace that same vehicle, instead of being a $500,000 police interceptor, it's $1,000, and so it drives the price up. So it's not on the wish list. At that point, I say we let them do 3, and I put it in the budget because it's kind of a deal we're already obligated to, and let's move on from that. So just wanted you to know when you look at the budget, it's not on the wish list because it's in the budget, but not 25. We're not going to do all 8. We would do better to hold 5 of them. So anyway, just letting y'all know that. I guess, okay, let's see, fire, blank page, ward marshal. I mean, let's knock this part out. The ward marshal needs a part-time assistant. It costs $25,000 a year. The purpose of this part-time assistant is to process, basically, the STEP program is doing so good, it's a lot of admin on the ward marshal. And he's inundated with processes. And I mean, I like the ward marshal, y'all all like the ward marshal. It doesn't have anything to do with liking him or not. It's just a matter if you want to do it or not. I'm indifferent to it. $25,000 to get him some help. He's fairly self-sufficient for the most part. His department doesn't cost us an enormous amount. I mean, is this something that just upsets y'all to do?
I mean, I'm okay with it, you know. I think he wouldn't ask, you know, Danny's always been real good about trying to keep things pretty economical down there.
I'm absolutely fine with it.
All right, let's just move on then. This one is the one that, and I've told y'all before, out of all of them, this is the one I'd like to see y'all do, and I have reasons for it. My main this is economic development, but $100,000 added to her material line, and the reason for it, and I know it's a lot of money. We hired her. We've got to give her the money to get something done. So one of the big things she wants to do, and I fully support it, is called retail strategies, where she goes and we're, as a council, we're even allowed to go, where she goes and gets training for economic development. And along with that, they identify the kind of retail businesses that would fit well in the city. So we know everybody wants a Whataburger and a Waffle House, a Chick-fil-A, and Cane's, and on and on and on. Well, they have the contacts and connections. They know the data we need to compile, and they'll help us compile that data. So when we pursue these kind of companies that we've been hearing we want, that we actually don't go to them looking like we don't know what we're talking about. So along with that is some promotional things for the city, economic development, promotions and all. This one, I know it's a lot of money, but we hired her, we're bringing back that department, and we've got to put our money where our mouth is. And the hope is that Sarah can bring us a return on our investment, a good return. But I know one thing, and y'all know this from being in business. If you don't invest in your business, you won't get a return. You have to pay to play, so to speak. So what y'all's thoughts on this one?
What kind of return are we looking for?
Huge.
When you say huge, you know.
There's no way to quantify it, Mr. Charlie. And it's kind of like asking, what's the value of good business decisions the city made 20 years ago? All I can tell you is we're still living off of those good decisions. You know, it's hard to say.
What does the school cost?
What is what cost?
What does the school cost?
The school.
$30,000.
How long is the school?
I think 1 week. Isn't it actually, do you know?
No, but I can
but
pull it
that-
up, I have the contract.
But that's the school portion, and there's other portions such as, you know, it's like you're almost hiring them as a consultant to work with this constantly. Another thing in this line item that Sarah's wanting to pursue is she's working with Paris Design Company to redesign the website. We desperately need a website update. And some branding changes to modernize the city. The website, to give you, for instance, I didn't even realize it till last week. It says for trash concerns called Allied Waste. How long has it been since Allied Waste managed the city's trash? You know, it's time to update some of these things.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think she can get by with like 60,000?
Well, no. She will. She has to. I'd really like to give her the money for her to be successful. I don't know how else to put it.
Oh, 60, I mean, 100,000 is a lot of money. But not only that, it kind of concerns me because I know it's gonna take money, but my thing is, if she's supposed to be splitting time between the two, is she need a complete $100,000? And I'll give it, well, basically 70, because $30,000 is gonna go towards the school, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm kind of a start small and see where this thing is going, and see what type of return we get before we move with 100K. I mean, that's just my thought. I mean, we've done without it for a while now, and I do want to give it a 2, but I mean, 100 grand is a bit much to me. That's to me. Now,
what's your best compromise?
Everybody else doesn't feel that way.
What's your best compromise?
60. I'm fine with doing 100, but I feel like we're gonna have to put a microscope on it to see, you know, what's spent where and what's done what and what we got our.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm fine with that. We can go with the 100, but I'm a little leery about it.
You want to meet in the middle and do 80?
That's fine.
You okay?
We'll just do 80,000. That's fine.
Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
I think you'll see some results. And if not, we can cut it back the next year. And we can also watch what is happening. I have to sign every
Are we talking about
contract.
Sarah Overall's budget?
Yeah.
Where the heck did you come from?
Sorry, I had a responsibility that I had to do.
Did you just get on the call?
Okay.
Yeah, about 5 minutes ago.
We're talking about Sarah overall.
Yeah, I picked up on that. I hear you loud and clear, buddy. I think that I would rather have more dry powder for her to be able to use. And if there's no results from that, I would rather trim it back in future years rather than not have enough dry powder for her to use to try to drive, new business here. That's just my philosophy on it. Is I'd rather her have enough to do what she needs to do, and maybe if there's a little too much and she doesn't spend it, great. We'll make an adjustment for next year in that way, rather than kind of have her hands tied a little bit. I completely understand the other side of the coin. But I think when she has more experience, she can probably pick and choose a little bit more meaningful things to spend money on. But she doesn't have that experience yet. But she does have the energy for it, and so I think there's a little bit of educational. She's going to probably need to participate in some things that maybe aren't going to be as fruitful, but that's part of the education of doing the job, in my opinion. Totally get the other side of the coin. So
also, just to clarify, the retail strategies is not just for a week of school. It's for them to come to the city, work with the city, analyze all of the inner workings of how we work, do an analysis and a study for us to where it identifies what we can leverage to be appealing economically. There's a ton of value. Other cities that are very successful in the state, off the top of my head, Broussard has done this, and they're really doing extremely well. Of course, there's all kinds of external factors to why a city does well, but there's a lot of benefit to it. And so, I mean, I've got, Andy, I've got him up to, I think, 80 right now. You want to, Michael, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you and I, when you came on, Mayor, I talked about economic development, being something. I do think, we need to spend some money there. I'm more comfortable at 75, personally, I think that gives a pretty good, decent playing room, but, I may be wrong there, but that's,
Well, we're not, all right. Andy, I mean, I've got 80 from Buddy, I got 75 from Michael. Andy, Mr. Charlie?
What about Mr. Charlie and Miss Latasha?
Well, Latasha's not able to be with us today.
Okay.
But Mr. Charlie's here and you're here, so
I'll go 85,000, not that big,
80.
80's fine.
80.
Yeah.
So we've got a consensus on 80. Are you fine with
Yeah,
that?
I mean, my ceiling thing is 100, so of course I'm fine with 85.
Well, we're at 80.
80, I'm sorry.
No, it's
I
fine.
misheard you.
I'm just trying to get us to move forward. Let's just go with 80. I think everybody can make that work.
Yeah, if there becomes a need later on in the budget year and the money's not there for it, and if we all feel like it's a big enough need to move some things around to make it work, then, I mean, we've had to do those kinds of things in the past, and we've done it when we've been on the same page that it mattered. So,
Right.
I mean, do y'all feel the same way with that?
I totally agree. We can amend the budget or do whatever we need to do to make it work. I think that was a perfect scenario, what you brought up, Andy. So I think, we can settle on 80, and then we'll see how it goes. If there's an investment opportunity that we just can't miss, then we'll just have to do what we need to do.
Department 21. We'll go back over it after it's over. I think I know what to do. Department 21 has a 60-inch mower mulch kit, and the question here is, to me, this is more of a strategy. Like, do you want to take all the equipment we have right now and wear it slap out, or do you want to allow them to replace one a year? So really, this is, I'm not gonna lose sleep over a $14,000 zero turn, but I mean, it's probably a good idea to just ride with them a new one every year and get rid of the old ones. I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't care. It just.
I think we need to sit down with Tyler and make a game plan on how we rotate equipment out. I think.
Well, this is Parks and Rec.
I know,
Oh.
Tyler kind of.
Oh.
I mean, he's the main guy, but I think rotating these things out, helps us in the long run keep our expenses down.
Well, and I also think Doug King has been a super huge asset to the city, and if this is his only request to keep his department going, I'm just very grateful to him for what he does to keep the place looking good. That's my opinion too.
And
so.
I'm fine with it. I just would like to see us kind of get us a game.
Well, the
plan
game
on how we
plan-
do vehicles and equipment and so forth. I think
Well,
that's
so
an important
just-
part.
Let me interject to that. There is a game plan, and this is it. I met with David. We have a state contract with Hallmark, and I met with David that owns Hallmark. And the game plan would be the best strategy. Of course, this is the salesman, but the best strategy is to just replace a zero turn every year, because we have can't remember, like 6 or 7 that we keep running all the time. And if we do this, then you are constantly flowing through a good zero turn. it's the same thing with the lease vehicles. Mulaney and I have, y'all just don't know this, I never tell you, but every year we have a big meeting with Enterprise, and I analyze with Mulaney the value of a trade-in versus the value of keeping it. So there is just so everybody knows, there is a strategy to how we do this. We don't just wing it. It's just a matter of, you know, do you want to do the strategy on the lawnmowers, or would we rather just rag them out and buy four in 1 year? You know, that I don't care.
I don't. I mean, I think it's smarter to do it like you're explaining. I mean,
Okay.
personally, but
Buddy, Andy,
that's up to the rest of the group. I'm not quitting on it.
Sorry, hang on just a second.
Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I think the strategy of just keeping some new in the fleet is a good strategy, and we're actually in that department we should be kind of long term saving a little bit of money on equipment because you know, with the turf project we're actually going to get rid of a lot of equipment that we use to take care of infields out there. And so it's gonna be back to like pretty much mowing and weed eating and edging which is a good thing, because some of those other pieces of equipment are quite spendy. So that'll be good. And I think the strategy of doing one, every year or two every 2 years, I don't really care. It's whatever the department head feels like is the best thing. But I do think that an ongoing kind of keeping them up to date, so where they're not all, you know, junky is at the same time. And then we, you know, then 1 week when we got a big tournament coming up, none of them work, and you know we gotta scramble. I don't like that.
Well, then let's stick with the plan of one a year, because we bought them one a year or two ago, and then we would be on schedule. Is that okay, guys?
Yep.
Okay. All righty. Buddy, I guess you're good with it. Is he gone? He's still here.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. And then I'm on my last page, other than any comments that y'all have. And this one, Department 22, resurface Academy Park tennis courts, 11,000. Hinton Park improvements, 20,000. The Hinton Park improvements, Hinton Park is a little park over by Drake Drive, Hinton Drive. It is it's pretty heavily utilized. I've been watching it. We were going to, in some of these figures, paint the benches and GBT on our litter day, went over there and painted a bunch of stuff, so that was super nice. Thanks to them for that. But there's a pavilion there that the roof is coming off of and bricks are falling off of. It's a pretty little park. This is something I put on there myself. Don't really, just so many people email
I'm okay
me
with
that.
both.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
if you're cut, you know, I mean.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to
Yeah, no, I
explain.
mean, I'm okay with both, just so they're aware of it. The only question I have, when you get to it, is the Academy Park. If we talked about, you and I talked about new lights up there.
New lights.
Yeah, do we need to add that? Can we add that or,
I don't think
We
we
kinda
have
talked
to add
about-
it.
okay.
I think we could just,
but I'm good with whatever you wanna do on the parks.
Lights.
You know.
does anybody, I mean, it's just kind of one of these deals, if we're gonna, you know, the city owns the park, and I can't see any significant money being spent there in probably 30 years. I mean, I just can't see where any money has been spent in forever. There used to be walking trails with bridges and the storms and trees falling and tore them up. I'm not even trying to replace those. I'm just, anyway. So, Andy or Buddy, are either of y'all against these things? Are y'all indifferent to them? Are you for them? So this is my last page, and I'll kind of
I'm pretty indifferent.
Okay.
For me, no big. I mean, I would like to see some investment in our parks, for quality of life for our citizens, especially if they're calling about those parks and those things. So, you know, if they're calling about them and they're utilizing them and they want, you know, to continue to utilize them and they know they need some upgrades, we can spend the money there. I mean, it's going to look kind of crazy that we're spending a bunch of money down at the recreation center and we're not investing in our in-town facilities. That's just me. You know, I just kind of would like to, you know, spend a little money there to kind of keep the people quiet. Because everybody wants to use, you know, something nice, you know, especially when it's utilized a lot. I know. What?
I have a curveball for y'all.
What's that?
I got Zach to run some numbers at the rec center to redo the gym at the rec center. I've been thinking we're spending so much on the kids' sports, which is great, but for quality of life for the citizens, a lot of our seniors and just a lot of our general population attempt to use the gym. I hear a lot of things about the gym. We really would y'all be interested in spending some money on the fitness equipment to get it to be a heck of a thing?
Yes, yes.
I hadn't run that bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
How would this might shock y'all, but how would y'all feel about spending $50,000 on the gym to get it jammed up? Or we can do more or less. I don't care. It's just I would like to be able, when we redo the rec center, it'd be kind of cool if we could roll out. We have a heck of a gym for people to use. I don't know. Just your thoughts on it.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
It's Charlie.
Cities
Buddy, what's your thoughts?
You know I'm with it. We kind of had conversations about that previously, so you know I'm good with it.
Hey,
When you say the gym,
I'm talking about the workout gym.
Yeah, the work.
Not the floor.
okay.
Although we have been looking at that too, but that's not undoable, buddy. The floor in the gym. It's just as you pointed out, there's a few hurdles on that too. So
Yeah. I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
I think it'd be a great quality of life and an asset to the people. So I'm open for whatever.
I have two things I want to throw out if I can.
Sure.
So one thing is, before we kind of got started, I mentioned to the mayor about the 2 parking lots that we discussed last time of paving, you know, here. And instead of us taking that money out of our street department, why not try to fit it into this extra money we've got, you know, this $394,000, and leave our street money the same for, you know, streets?
Well, and yes, we did have that discussion. The only thing I would push back is we don't have the 394.
Well, I know,
when
I'm
we
just saying,
update
you know,
this, just so
Yeah,
we're clear.
just see where we're at and
Yeah.
see if we can make it work.
What do we have available?
Hitting our road budget 1.5 million.
Are you talking about what's left over, buddy?
Yes.
I don't know, now that we started cutting out, adding out of the 394, have you kept up with it, Wayne?
Well, I mean, we can't tell you that yet. We have 1.5 budgeted for streets. Though, just so y'all know, the parking lots, we got a rough figure, and it looks like to do both of them will be 85,000. I believe that was striping and everything. So it's not a huge amount of money.
So it really may not
We
matter.
could probably afford to do it out of our street budget, but I do think it would make downtown look really nice. Something's gotta be done. We got potholes galore.
I'm fully I'm fully behind that redoing the parking lot.
Yeah. Let me ask one other question, see what you guys think. I proposed this to the mayor, and I may have mentioned it to you, buddy, the other night. is that we look at possibly hiring like a subcontractor and pay them X dollars a month to go out and mow for us, like yards that we send letters to, and, you know, say they're contracted to mow 5 yards that we've sent letters to a month, you know, something to that effect, because, you know, according to Brent, it's so hard getting people to come in and bid on these things, and, you know, we have somebody on staff kind of, sort of, you know, that will go and take care of some of this, you know, to get some of these complaints knocked out.
Like high grass and all?
Yeah, the high grass stuff.
So that would be a Cooley's budget, just,
Yeah.
maybe make a new line item for mowing contractor?
Yeah. I
And
mean, that's
then
just-
allocate, you talked about putting somebody on a bit of a retainer.
Yeah, like say we pay somebody $1,500 a month, and they're guaranteed that they go and mow 5 yards for us.
If we could find somebody to do that deal, it would be good for them because they'd get a fixed income for probably 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
But it would be great for us because we could solve our own problems.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
I'm good with that. Me and Michael talked about it previously. So, yes, I'm fine with that.
Andy, what's your thoughts?
I love it in theory. I just, y'all know how this goes sometimes when the city just gets absolutely fleeced on prices because we're the city, and people just bid some outlandish things that if we were a private company, we would never pay for. So, you know, as long as we don't get absolutely fleeced by this, then the theory of it is good. Just if we can execute it, in a reasonable manner,
Maybe
which I know we would all want to do.
I mean,
Budget
that's
for the
about
home
$300 a yard is
He
what I'm
may
saying.
miss the number, but
Yeah.
budget like 9,000 for the year, maybe 10,000 for cleanup. And then your contract with, if ideally the goal would be to find someone to take our deal, maybe we put out an RFP and try to get somebody to come in at $1,500 a month for 5 yards. That wouldn't fleece us.
Yeah.
We are currently.
5 yards or 5 months?
5 yards for 6 months.
Yeah.
We are currently paying when we have.
That they would mow 5 for us.
Yeah, so if we pay them $1,500 a month, and they're guaranteed they have to go and mow 5 yards a month that we need mowed with tall grass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would that take care of the issue, or is there more than that we need?
It would be a good start. It's better than what we're doing now, which is hardly any.
There's just so many that we don't have enough contracts. People don't want to take, you know, the jobs because there are so many jobs, and some people don't want to, I guess, put the strain on their equipment in order to be able to go out and do that. If we get somebody on the contract, they're obligated to do it at that point.
And see, the other side is some of these quotes we're getting, I mean, the last round was anywhere from $900 to $1,100, wasn't it? I think there was a couple that was in that price range.
And it wasn't.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, we get quotes for one small yard, 600. I think the lowest I've heard was 5. Was that last one 5?
Yeah.
500 all the way to $1,100 to mow grass.
Yeah.
And we're just talking, but it's high. And
Sound like I'm in the wrong profession.
right, and there's often trash to be hauled off.
Yeah.
That's part of it too. Like usually these yards are, you know, I mean, it's a job. It's not just mowing your yard. But are y'all okay with budgeting? Let's say maybe just 10 grand in Cooley's department for cleanup. We can add that to whatever he already has. He already has a cleanup line. Is it just go under condemnations? But we already had him at 75, so we already added a lot to that.
Did we?
But that comes off your house tearing down too, which we, you know, the church alone cost nearly half of that. That was a big hit for us.
Are we still going to send these property owners a bill?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we should be able to
Okay.
recoup it. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't send them a bill.
I-
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I have a bad look on my face, but I'm okay with doing this. It just, I hate, you know, I wish the city would come mow my yard because I didn't take care of it, but.
But you wouldn't want that $1,000 tax lien.
Yeah, that's right. So as long as there's some kind of, I don't know, you know, I just wish people would take care of their stuff, but I can't change that. So that we're, you know, that's why I got a bad look on my face.
Well,
But
and you know, Andy, I mean,
it's a necessary evil.
and I don't mind spending the man hours writing and, cause when I get phone calls, you know, I try to ride and look at that neighborhood and, you know, then you have to give them 10 days and then sometimes that gets dropped. So, you know, I think with somebody contracted, we would, I think, come up with a better system, you know.
Should be able to get it done cheaper,
Yeah,
too.
you know, and, because if it goes 2 or 3 months, then that's where that bill becomes even more expensive. I don't know, I'm just hoping it will cut down some expense and we get the problem cleaned up quicker. I don't know, maybe that's
Yeah,
not right.
yeah. If there's any way for us to just, you know, I don't know if we can charge late fees on people's not paying us or something for doing this, but like, you know, really make it uncomfortable for people to not take care of their stuff. And if we have to take care of it for them, man, it really is a stinky situation for the property owner. If there's anything that we can legally do to make it just not great for them so that they either start doing it or they sell the property because it's just such a pain, either financially or otherwise, to deal with. Can we make it more painful?
Oh, we'll make it as painful as we can, AP. On the flip side of that coin, when someone.
Property standards ordinance.
And we have those. On the flip side of that coin, the person that really hurts is the neighbors.
That's right.
When they go unclean.
Yes.
And that's usually what we're up against. It's usually
Yes.
a good citizen that takes care of their yard and their neighbors is totally blighted and it causes snakes and mice and trash and property value decrease and on and on and on, smells. And we hear those calls a lot at City Hall, and y'all do too, I know. So that's the flip side. It's like, yeah, we want to make it hurt for the people who do bad, but at the same time, you know, if we can help the person that does right, you have an obligation there too. So, all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's go mow it. I mean, I
Right.
get the calls. Let's go mow it, but let's hammer the property owner for not taking care of their stuff.
We will hammer away. Look, we got one more meeting on Tuesday. Mulaney will update. We'll have draft number 6. And then, hopefully by the end of that meeting, we'll all be, like, if it's like this meeting, we'll all be in a pretty much a good place. And then we'll lay it out for public review. And then we'll potentially vote on it in August. If y'all are not ready, we'll push it to September. I would love to get it done in August, but if we have to go to September, we will. But I really think we're almost there. So y'all want me to get public safety in the meeting, or y'all, you know, they can come. Obviously, they didn't participate today. They are always welcome to participate. Anyway, we'll figure that out. But I will encourage everybody to. I would encourage the council to be sure, if we can, let's meet on Tuesday, whether it's Zoom or not, and let's try to knock this thing out if we can. Okay? Any questions between now and then, get with myself or Mulaney.
First time we've seen you. We've heard you.
That's the first time we've seen you. Is there anything else you want to add, Andy? Anything that we need to? Okay.
No, full disclosure, I was driving down the streets of New Orleans, and you know, we might have a few potholes, but we ain't got bad roads. I'm gonna tell you that. We got good roads.
All right. Buddy, have any final word?
No, not really.
Mr. Charlie?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Mr. Charlie?
We can go.
Okay. Mr. Roy? All right. Thank y'all very much.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Hayden.
Bye.